Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, everybody. It's another Wednesday on the Relationship Gumbo Podcast live show. And on this show, we're going to get a little visual and then we're going to get a lot of good information. And today's topic, we're madly in love, but are we compatible? And as you come in, whether it's the replay or, you're just hanging out with us tonight live, make yourself known, say hello. And I will address you probably towards the end because in the middle, we're going to do a real live podcast. So I'm going to be focused on the audio for that portion. So just bear with me. But if you have comments or questions, I'll try to get them in as I can. So give me about 15 seconds or so just to make sure everything is going to all of the different places, Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. And I'll be right back and we're going to get right into it.
This one for the streets that taught me lessons. Hey, they taught me about the grief and people out here stressing. They taught me how the evils wanna keep you from progressing. It's people in your circle wanna keep you from your blessings. No talking to them people when them people come with questions. This mama say no ratting. For them, death is destined. Be careful of the people you invest in.
All right, we are back. I'm going to give you like a little splash screen of where you can find the actual podcast. It's pretty much everywhere, but I'm going to shoot this up anyway. Just search for Relationship Gumbo, basically everywhere. Spotify, Apple, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeartRadio. It's everywhere. You can even do Alexa. So just look for me. Look, the audio version of this will be up probably sometime tomorrow. So just be on the lookout for that. You can listen to it again in your car. So we're going to get right into it. So give me about... And I'm gonna say hello to a couple people before I go dark on addressing the comments. So we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna pause for about 2-3 seconds, and I'm gonna get into the podcast section. And on the other end, I'm gonna pause again, and then we're gonna, have kind of like a little after talk. So here we go. And welcome to another episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. My name is Derek Jones, and I am your host. I'm a life coach, an engineer, a strategist, and a mental health advocate. And today we have an extra special episode. We're going to talk about why some people, they say they're madly in love, but are they really compatible, right? Because those things aren't always housed in the same place. We think they should be, right? In the perfect world, the person you love, you should be compatible with. But we're going to talk about what that really looks like. Let me give you a personal example of some things I've been through just so you guys can really understand what this looks like. Because I know a lot of you understand this topic, but I want you to feel it, right? This show is all about the feels, right? So let's talk about love. And for a lot of us, when we say love, it can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, but for the most part, it's emotional, right? And when we feel that love feeling, it's like a drug, right? And when we feel that drug love, sometimes we forget that there's a lot of other pieces to the relationship. So like when we talk about people who date, right? And a lot of times when you date, you go through the little questionnaire, right? What's your favorite food? Where you from? Who's your mama? All of that, right? And we think that this is the compatibility phase of the relationship, right? We want to know if we can click, right? If we have chemistry. And then what happens is we a lot of times get into the point of feeling the chemistry and we're attracted. And then we go full on emotion. And when we go full on emotion, what we don't realize, and I'm going to clarify the compatibility for you, because compatibility is not, it's not easily done or described because it's something that's kind of on a rolling basis, right? Compatibility is not just about what you like or what you have in common. Do we like the same things? Because as we know, sometimes the person that you end up with that you might, that you're supposed to be with, how they say opposites attract. Maybe you don't like the same things, but you're still compatible in a lot of other ways. So on a rolling basis while you're in a relationship, It's really about the willingness to want the partnership to work. And what are you willing to do to keep that compatibility going? Because we know over time, we change, our needs change, our wants change, but your willingness to make that partnership work is where the true heart of the compatibility lies. And a lot of times we get so caught up in how it feels that we don't realize that there's a little bit of, compatibility work that needs to go on. 5 years in, 6, 7 years in, you got to keep, pinging and testing out that compatibility to make sure that the willingness is still there. How many people been in a relationship where you felt like you were compatible, you had fun with the person, the things that you like and did together was cool, but you didn't have the willingness or the drive to stay in it because you didn't love like you did maybe in the beginning. It's an ongoing process. And sometimes people get it confused, or they think if they have a bunch of one that they can, massage the other one in, right? And we'll go ahead and put to the side. There's some people who are in great relationships that, maybe they weren't so compatible in the beginning and they kind of grew on each other, right? We're not talking about y'all. We're talking about those of us who fall in love. You know how some people say, I fall fast, I fall in love fast? Because they're not thinking about compatibility. They want to feel love. And sometimes people want that feeling way more than they need to be compatible with the other person. So you'll be in love, and all the other stuff that may drive you nuts, you ignore it because you want to have the love so bad. And so because the compatibility isn't an exact science, a lot of people, especially those of us who really want to be in love, is we take shortcuts. Right? When you're out here dating and there's supposed to be, now we're in 2020 now, so we know that the rules have changed, but there's supposed to be levels to this, right? You're supposed to go out and meet the person and ask the questions and go, you get to a point where you're exclusively dating, and then you courting and you're doing it with a purpose and all of that, right? We know that a lot of times people are like, you know what? Let's just get straight to the feels. Let's get straight to the love. I like being around you. We just gonna be together. if you give me 10 hugs, we go together, right? And the compatibility is not there. So I'm gonna tell you what I did, right? What I went through, because I always like to give you a little, I always say on all of these shows, every topic I have comes from a place, right? I want you guys to understand this. This is what I did in my personal life. I met someone and we ended up in I guess you would call it a long-term relationship. I met someone and we clicked on day one. But the relationship was predicated upon how often we saw each other. So every weekend we was in each other's face. Felt good, right? The feels. And you see each other so much, just off of the feels, you might go out and eat a random dinner, go see a random movie, but it's really just about that passionate, just wanting to be in each other's face. And the compatibility and getting to know, the ups and downs and the ins and outs of whether you're compatible wasn't the priority. It was about the feels. And guess what happened? After you get those feels for a little while and some months go by, then you get that question. Here it comes. What are we? Now you a whole boyfriend, a whole girlfriend, right? I did that. And I was like, I don't want the feels to go away, so I'm going to be in this. Now notice, none of the questions and the compatibility stuff was ever addressed. It was always about the feels. And then what happened was I ended up getting to a point where we were living together. And we were living together. Then it really got real. And then after time, I was like, And we actually both were like, we're not compatible. I love you, but all the stuff that I really need from you and I need for you to be and do, you have like maybe 2% of that. But you already in a whole full-blown relationship. How did that happen? We let those emotions run us because we want to be with somebody. We want that feeling of just having somebody there for us and got our back and all that, but we don't check off those compatibility check boxes. And like I said, it's on a rolling basis, right? So you could really end up not being compatible with someone that you're compatible with the first few months. Because remember I said, it's about the willingness for you to want to grow the partnership. To maneuver the compatibility based on what's going on in the relationship. You got to be able to bend and mold the basic stuff like, do you eat Chinese food? We already been there. We already been down there. That was like the first week. But now the real work comes in. Right? And sometimes this is what we also do. And I want you guys to catch this because I know a lot of you do this. When we feel the love and it's intoxicating, but we know we're not compatible with the person, wait for it. We try to change them, to force the compatibility on them so that we feel like we got everything we need. I call it Build-A-Bear, right? You're going to take something, you're going to try to make it into what you want so it fits. Newsflash, especially those of us out here that are not 18. That's a tough thing to do, to make somebody be something they're not. Especially us folks that set in our ways. We are who we are, right? You're not going to change me into something you want, because this is what happens. Over time, I'm still going to be me. And guess what? You still not going to like it. We're not talking about compromise. We're talking about a whole character change. We're talking about changing that person so you can be happy. Because of course, the holy grail is to have love and compatibility. But what happens when you don't have them both? Do you force the person? Anybody ever force somebody to try to love them? Because you was just, they was just so cool and you was like, this is going to work. we gonna fall in love one day, but right now we just buddies playing Scrabble. So you gotta really, take initiative, because like I keep saying in these shows, you're in charge of your heart, and you have to be the security guard for that thing. You got to be the person that does the background check and make sure that the time you spend counts towards some progress and growth. And that's where the compatibility comes in. Yeah, it feels good. You're getting hugged and kissed on and you're doing all this other kind of stuff that we won't talk about right now. But those feels, sometimes people end up in long relationships just on feels, and then they be fighting like cats and dogs in the house. We don't never see that, right? We see the highlight reels. That compatibility thing is important. And it's also something that you need to look at as well, that when the compatibility isn't there, you owe it to yourself to be honest about that. Especially when you're talking about being in a relationship with another person and you're hiding the fact that the compatibility isn't there because you want to feel so bad. What's my favorite saying? That's not fair. It's not fair. Because now you got the other person thinking that everything cool. And catch this. And I talk about this all the time. What if the other person, because I want you guys to think about this. What if the other person that you in love with thinks you're compatible with them because you're pretending to be the things they want because you want the love so bad. How many people have done that? I know a lot of people may be in their car or at home. Raise your hand. How many people have conformed themselves just to keep the relationship going and to keep the love going because you need the feels and the security of knowing that you got that love? But here's the magic question. If you're pretending the relationship, is it really secure? Message. So I want you guys to really think about this. I'm going to recap. You want them both. Sometimes it may not be pretty, but you can work with it, right? Nothing's perfect. You can work with it. Might not be everything, but you can work with it. But there's a point where you know that it's not there, right? A lot of times you find this stuff out early. I always talk about early. You can get it. You can find it early. Sometimes it takes for you to get, unfortunately, sometimes it takes for you to marry him or to live with him. And then you're like, wait. The honeymoon stage is definitely over. Who is this person? Been there, done that. I got the ticket stub, the gold medal. I got all of the membership card. I've been there. But what you have to do, especially if you've been in these type of situations and now you're hearing this information, now you are armed with the tools of understanding so that you make smarter decisions the next time. And sometimes you know how when you want to be with someone and you're in a relationship and it's good, every couple should be doing a pulse check every now and then, right? You got to check the pulse, make sure it's still beating. Because sometimes we get blinded by our schedules. Sometimes we get blinded by, just not being present, whether it's mentally or physically. And then time goes by and that compatibility may have disappeared and you didn't even realize it. And then you get detached. And then you get mad. And then if you listen to the last show, you get stuck. And you don't know how to get out. That's why you got to keep checking. Right? And this is, and I'm going to close with this. When I was going to get married to the person that I was talking about earlier, and I definitely had to get out of that. We both got out of that situation because of compatibility. We knew it wasn't there. When I was supposed to get married, your fiancés or whatever, right? And this is something that I always kind of just laughed at, was marriage counseling. And I was like, and the irony in it is, because I'm thinking of it right now as I'm talking about this, and we're going to close out with this. Counseling, therapists, couples counseling, and all of this kind of stuff. We always talk about therapy here, right? And it's one of the reasons why I'm a life coach, is because I know sometimes people don't have the tools. But I'm definitely not talking about Alicia, guys, for the record. When the marriage counseling question came up, right? Should we go or should we not go? You know what I said? This is some real talk right here. I said, we're already in love, right? We already cool. Why we need somebody else to tell us if we compatible or not? We don't need to do that. But what you don't realize is that counseling, that therapy, it's not just to see if you're compatible today. It's to help you understand and know who you're with so that you'll have the tools to help carry you through for the future going forward. Right? I laughed at it. And as soon as I laughed at it and I ended up getting married, then the bottom fell out. And all of that stuff that I probably would have learned, I didn't have the tools. But what I did know is that it didn't feel right. So I had to get up out of there. So I'm going to say this, and then we're going to get off of here. And then next week, we're going to have another topic that's going to hit you in the chest again, because that's what I do. Don't take for granted the compatibility piece. The falling in love part, especially when you're around somebody a lot, that's easy. It's how you sustain it that counts. And that's something that's way more important today than it ever has been, because our relationships are fragile. And we need to make them strong, and we need to have a solid foundation so that we'll have something to fall back on when the times are rough. So if you're in a relationship currently, just do a pulse check on that compatibility. Make sure that it's strong. Make sure it's the same. And if you need to make adjustments, do that. But if you're in a relationship with somebody that you have zero compatibility and it just feels good to have the person there, maybe they paying some of the bills or something. I don't know what it is that's making you stay if you're not compatible, but you need to figure that out. Because I keep referencing the last show, but I'm going to say this. If you've been in there and you're not happy and you're not compatible, you got to suck it up and pretend for the rest of your life. Ain't nothing sexy about that at all. So think about that. Think about the compatibility and the love as you're out here dating. If you're already in a relationship, do I just love the person or do we really fit? And I'm going to finish this podcast by saying I appreciate you guys, and I want to make sure that you understand and know that I am here for you. So if you have any questions, you have any comments, you have anything you want to send me, you can email me at, you can go to mrcardlogic.net. You'll get that same website on the outro. But I just want you guys to check everything out. I offer one-on-one coaching. So if you want a plan customized to help you get right, I got you. If you want some apparel, I got you. If you want to listen to a podcast, I got you. So on that note, we're going to wrap this up. I'm glad you came, and I will see you on the next episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. Have a great day. All right, we're done, guys. I am going to address the comments. So, hey, Michelle. Hey, Tia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Alicia. Alicia says the D. I saw that, but I couldn't do it. I'm glad you guys came to listen to the live recording of the podcast again. And I saw, let me see these comments over here. Let me see. I saw a couple of long ones here from Michelle. Michelle said, I have not pretended but did stay in a long-term relationship that lacked compatibility. I told him, but he didn't agree. I thought the love would be enough. Wrong. Never again. That's exactly what I'm saying. Those feels sometimes betray you. And that's one of the reasons why I created this, because there's got to be a balance between emotion and logic, or we end up doing dummy stuff. Tia says she been there. It's the worst decision. And that's really what it is. And now that you're on the other side of it, got to make better decisions now and stop making the same, I call it the cycle of terror. You're going to end up being in situations and re-hurting yourself for no reason. So I am going to get off of here, and I hope that you guys, I'm going to put the podcast information up one more time for those that came late. So you can literally go anywhere that you can get podcasts and just search for Relationship Gumbo and it should pop up and you can listen to, I think this is episode number 10 already. Wow. Episode number 10. And just kind of, you got 9 other ones to look at. I mean, listen to. I said look at. Listen to. So just keep that in mind. Please support, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Michelle says we knew you weren't talking about Alicia Dove Jones. Yeah, exactly. Let's not get it confused. But yeah, I'm gonna get off of here, and I want you guys to have a great night. And I will see you next week, same time, same place. Look out for the regular podcast. I normally try to get it out on Mondays, and then we do the Wednesday night one, and then that comes out on Thursday. So you get 2 a week instead of 1. So just stay tuned, stay plugged in. Go to mrcarlogic.net and see everything else I got going on. And we'll see you next week. Have a great night.
This one for the streets that taught me lessons. They taught me about the grief and people out here stressing. They taught me how the evils wanna keep you from progressing. It's people in your circle wanna keep you from your blessings. No talking to them people when them people come with questions. Cause mama say no ratting, for them death is destined. Be careful of the people you invest in.